Hi guys, can you guys hear me? You can let me see. I'll give you guys let me unmute you guys. Hey Archie, can you hear me? Yep, I got you. See your hand there. Cool. Yeah, I see you, Baba. All right, guys, just we'll start on dot 11. So just get in there and I'll start by 11. Great. Just getting it live on YouTube, guys. Give me a sec. So what do we have? All right, guys, we're about to start. Yeah. If you guys can hear me, let me see your hands. Great. Okay. All right, guys. Can you guys all see my screen? There are about 44 of you in here right now. If you can see my screen or ask a question, let's test it out before we start off. You guys can ask a question. I set up for questions. I set up a poll. I set up a survey, and I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys all see that? Okay. Okay, guys, so we're just going to start off. It's 11 o'clock, as we said. I'm just going to start off. If you can't see me or you can't hear me, simply make a comment and I will stop. But I'm sharing my screen. I'm just going to go through the financial health check. So if you can't see, let me know. Send me a question. I'll see it and I'll stop right away. Yeah, great. All right, so welcome to the financial health check for 2021. I'll be very, very brief. Why we're doing this, I get lots of questions from people, and people always ask, I want to invest, or where should I invest? Or I have this amount of money, how should I invest? What should I buy? What's the best stock that'll give you the best return on investment? And that's really the wrong way to approach investing, yeah? Because if you are investing just for the return, it might not give you the best outcome in the long term. You have to invest based on your objective. You have to have a plan, and your investment is simply your pathway to achieve that plan. That's basically why I'm doing this. Yeah. Just to show us how we should approach the whole world of investing and personal finance. So that if we have a plan to buy a house or have a plan to retire, how should we do it? This is basically why we're doing this. So we have the financial health check. That's what the whole so guys, can you hear me now? So great. So the reason why we're doing this financial health check is simply because I get lots of comments from people asking me they want to invest, and they basically say, what's the best investment to do? That might be a wrong way to approach investing. Investing is basically you want to have a plan, a long-term plan, and you're investing to basically take you to where you want to go to, really. So this is just to show you the steps or the building blocks or the foundations to how you want to approach your financing, basically, your financial plan. So the first thing I have is Financial Health Check by Kalu Aja, yeah? And the next slide is, if I can get the damn computer to move. Sponsored by The Way I See It podcast. So that's my podcast. I do that weekly. Normally release a podcast every Wednesday, and we just talk about personal finance and money and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great podcast for you to follow. It's available everywhere on Apple, iPods, TuneIt, Google, basically anywhere you can get a podcast, you can get this guy. So I recommend that you listen and follow because I do drop a lot of nice stuff in there. So please get in there, yeah? Okay, so I have a course outline. I will not really go through all the slides, but I'll just try to go into the ones that I think are important. The first thing to understand is this, yeah? The entire financial health check is going to take us about 30 days, 1 month, because we have to track our investments for 1 month, more or less. So this is just giving you the building blocks per se, like I said. So this is going to be a 30-day minimum plan where you're going to track your spending for the 30 days, but this is going to show you the entire program, what you want to do. So the next slide is basically, we're just going to talk about financial planning, just for us to get that out of the way. What is financial planning? Financial planning is simple. It's basically a long-term process. So the key word there is financial planning is a long-term process. Process means it doesn't stop, yeah? We want to know where you are, where you want to be financially, and then we'll build a bridge or a plan to take you from where you are to where you want to stop. That's basically it. You have a plan, you have a goal. How can you get from where you are to where you want to be? I remember that there's inflation, there are lots of stuff holding you back, more or less. So you basically are trying to say, okay, I want to invest money, but I have inflation, I have low interest rates, I have low returns. How can I get to that bridge? How can I go from where I am to where you want to be? That's basically what financial planning tries to do. It tries to solve your own objective. It's not set up more or less to solve everyone's objective. You are different. So basically, what you want to do is what we then give you a plan to achieve. Very important that you remember that your own plan is what we're interested in. Your own plan, not anybody else's plan, but your own plan. Yeah. So again, why financial planning? Why is it a big thing? Because Alan Greenspan, I'll give an example. Alan Greenspan, the former chairman of the US Fed, said the lack of financial literacy was the number one problem in today's generation economy. So if you understand what this guy is saying, this guy was there when they had the Iraq Gulf War. This guy was there when they had the recession, the depressions and all that. But he's basically saying that the lack of financial planning is why this economy or this generation and this economy is actually suffering. So what's his point? If you remember in 2007, lots of Americans got bad loans, mortgage loans that they could not basically afford. And because they're going to afford it, they lost those homes. But that contagion in America spread around the world, and it created what we called in that time the Great Recession, simply because Americans were getting loans that they could not service. So if you don't have an understanding of financial literacy, if you don't understand debts and credit, if you don't understand your expenses, you will be in trouble. And not just you, the whole economy can also be in trouble. So that's why this is a very, very important topic for us to have, to talk and explain how we can understand money, how money works, and how we can use money and our plans to get to that objective that we'd like to get to, yeah? Okay, so this is just walking through, and I have this slide for you guys, the financial life cycle slide. If you notice, yeah, everyone is going to be, even though we all have individual desires and individual needs, we are all grouped by lifestyle, by age. So what a person of 20 years will do, how he would invest is almost similar to what a person of 21, 22 will do. And it will be different from what a guy aged 40 will do. So more or less you can group investors by age and say, if this person is this age, we think he's going to invest this way. It might not be automatic, but we really think that that profile or that grouping invest in a certain way. And that's what this financial life cycle is trying to talk about. Accumulation stage, which is the first stage when you just start your job, you have very, very low credit, you're earning very, very little, but you want to basically grow assets. So you're like borrowing a lot of money to buy assets, more or less. And as you go to the consolidation stage, in this stage now, you're now like middle manager, like a middle manager and all that. And then you are basically trying to basically to make money. So at this stage, you are having more money, more or less, as it were. Yeah. So let's get down to it. Yeah. I'm just going to give you guys this. So financial health check is basically, we're going to do a series of exercises. The first one is we're going to track expenses. We're going to track expenses. We want to see all the money that comes in. We want to see all the money that goes out. We want to get the total net income, total net outflow. We want to create a balance sheet. We want to get a cash flow. Then we want to do a net worth statement. So we want to get our income. We want to track income and expenses, the raw cash that comes in and goes out. We want to get that down. Then we also want to now talk about how that cash flow affects us in terms of our balance sheet. We want to talk about the budget. We want to talk about the net worth and the cash flow. So all this stuff I'm talking about is all going to go sequentially. You have to start from the expenses side and basically end up at the net worth side. So cash is not assets. So we're going to now link the cash to assets. That's basically what we want to do. So that's basically what the financial health check is all about. Just like when you go to a doctor and the doctor asks you, hey, you go to a doctor and you say, I feel okay, but I just want to get a health check. I just want you to check me up and see if I'm doing very, very well. That's basically all that we're doing here. If you go to a doctor, he checks your vitals, he checks your temperature, he checks your head and checks, hey, you're looking okay, but I think you should stop eating fat, or I think you should do more exercises. That's basically what we're trying to do. We want to check ourselves and see if our finances are doing well. How well are we doing? Are we spending too much? Are we saving too little? Are we insured properly? Those kind of financial questions, that's what we want to do today. And like I said, you want to start off from expenses, which is cash, and we're going to end up as assets, which is going to be our net worth. Yeah. Okay. So that's basically, like I said, what a financial health check is. It's the same as a medical health check, but in this case, we are basically doing this in terms of money. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the first one that I want to do today, which is going to be the expenses side. The first thing we want to do basically is to establish where we are. So we want to basically say, where are we today? How old are you? How old are you going to retire from? These are questions that determine the number of paychecks or the income streams that you're going to get throughout your working life. So the first thing you want to do basically is you want to do a static checkup. You want to say, okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to check myself now. And what are you checking? You're checking your ability to earn income. So you're basically asking yourself, what do I earn? What do I earn? How long can I earn this? That's going to be your age and your retirement age. If you know how old you are and how old you want to retire, then basically you can then say, oh, this is basically how long I'm going to earn those paychecks. That then tells you number of compounding periods that you have that you're going to invest to meet your plan. Then in terms of income, we have the active and we have the passive income. So the active income is income that you're going to make whilst you're actively engaged. If you're actively engaged, that's an active income, i.e., you're going to work or you're physically engaged in that activity. That's basically an active income. The passive income is income that you are making whilst you are not there. So you can say if you own shares or you own a rental, that sort of stuff, that is basically what is called the passive income. So the total income that you're going to get is going to be basically your total passive income and your total active income, more or less. And the combination of can you save too much? And the combination of those two gives you your total income. Yeah. So I'm just trying to run ahead at the questions. I'll address the questions later on. Yeah. So we first of all have to address where you are right now, which is going to be the static check. How old are you? When do you want to retire? What sort of income do you have? So that tells you how much you have and how much you're going to earn throughout that working life. Then look at our expenses. For our expense, I want to say, how much debt do we have? Because yes, we earn, and of course, the expenses then translate to either we are spending or we are owing. So how much debt do we have? Is that debt short term? Is that debt long term? Then what is the cost of the debt? So we have the Naira figure, but we also have the cost figure. Yeah. Then of course, is it discretionary or is it non-discretionary? That means are those debts or those expenses, do we have to make them? In which case they're called non-discretionary. If we do, if like our rent, for instance, is non-discretionary, it's not up to us to pay rent. As long as we live in a house, we have to pay rent, irrespective of our income. So that's non-discretionary. But if we want to go on a holiday to London, that's discretionary more or less. So you can say, I'm not going to take a holiday. You can take that expense off, but you can't say, I'm not going to eat. You can't say, I'm not going to put gas in your car. You can't say, I'm not going to pay school fees or pay rent. So that's discretionary, non-discretionary income. We have to do this. This is the first where we start with our financial health check. Where are you in terms of your income and your expenses? And you have to break it down, like I said, according to this slide. What's your age? when are you retiring? That tells you the number of active paychecks you're going to basically get. And then you then say, okay, where are we going to do our spending? Is it going to be short term? Is it going to be long term? And what is the cost of that spending? And of course, you then want to ask, is that spending discretionary or non-discretionary? Very, very important. Yeah. Okay. So what we then do is we want to get, this is the first and most important part of the financial health check. You want to basically establish where your money is going to. So you want to get a notepad, you want to get an Excel sheet. There are lots of apps that you can use to do this. So you want to basically track all the income and all the expenses that you make over a 30-day period. Minimum is going to be a 30-day period. Over a month, take a notepad and write everything, every single thing that you spend money on. Nothing like miscellaneous, nothing like just write everything that you basically have, that you're basically spending money on, and you then record it. That's going to be your income side and your expenses side. I'm going to show you guys an example of how I've done mine. Yeah. When you have your income and your expenses all listed out. So for instance, you have suya, you have medical, you have gas, you have plumbing, you have megad, you have diesel. You then create categories. You then create categories of all these investments. You say, okay, all the categories that go towards household are going to be under household. All that go towards education are going to be under education. So from your expenses, you then start to group those expenses into categories. You get it? So there's, for income, it's easy. Just it's just going to be active income and passive income. But expenses is where you have lots more categories. You're going to have the discretionary income, non-discretionary income, food, clothing, all that kind of stuff. So when you list all your expenses over 30 days, you group those expenses, right? So you list the expenses, you group the expenses. The next thing is then to create a budget. Then after the budget, we then create a cash flow. So you see how we're linking them up. We're starting from the income and expenses, which is raw physical cash. We get our raw physical cash, income and expenses. We then create categories. The categories help us create a budget. Then the budget helps us create the cash flow. And from the cash flow, we can then go to the net worth. That's how we link it up. So we want to go from cash to assets. We don't earn assets, we earn cash. But ultimately, we want to convert that cash to assets and then pay down liabilities. So again, you get a notebook, list all your income, list all your expenditures, then you categorize income and expenditures, then you then create a budget, and then from the budget, then create a cash flow statement. Yeah, okay. So this is just an example of what I'm talking about, the expense tracker. Yeah, you basically go in here. Like I said, this is day one. So day one, burger, suya, salary, rent, just car note, literally everything that you spend money on. That's what this guy is doing here. He's listing his expenses. There are apps you can use to do this. There's like Monify and all that kind of stuff that can list all your income for you, all your expenses, and just categorize them for you. There are like Mint, Acorn, Monify. These are all apps that you can use to get this done for you. It's super easy. Yeah? This works. This is easy for you. List everything that you earn. No miscellaneous. List everything down to the kobo. Write it down. Do Excel. Try to do it for a month. That's what I was doing this in January. So you have all of January before the whole Monday starts. Try to list everything and then see what you can come up at the end of January. That gives you your base to start from. Yeah. Okay. The next slide then, after we have listed this, is going to be, so like this guy is doing, and you can see the days. So he's doing his day by day, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let me just clear a few questions that I have here. Can you save too much? Yes, you can save too much. You want to save, yes, but you also want to make sure that you can have enough to pay your expenses. So if you oversave, you might not have enough to pay your expenses, right? Okay. Okay, let me just allow some guys to come into the room. what app can someone use to do this? So the apps that you can use to do this, like I see if I, let me see if I can type it in. You can use Monify, Monify, Monify. You can use Acorns. You can use even an Excel sheet. You can use just a normal notepad, just an Excel sheet, and basically do this. You don't have to be complicated. The whole idea is just to record everything you spend. Take a little notepad in your pocket and just list everything out and just do it. You want to just capture this because you'll be surprised what you are losing or what you're not tracking. You might be spending money on suya and don't know how much is going to suya. You'll be shocked. So make sure you track it. So, and I want to give you guys an example basically. So after you have then done the tracking of the income and expenses, you then want to then create the categories, right? So that's basically what the budget is. So let's say, for instance, I have an expense of 20 naira for fuel and 100 naira for feeding. Those are two categories. Those two categories then go to my budget. So I then have a budget and I say, okay, because I spent 20 naira on, okay, let me answer this. His days are not correct numerically because he spends on day one, he spends on day one, maybe he didn't go out on day two, so he didn't spend on day two. So you record as you are spending. So Emeka, I'm just answering your question. His days are not correct numerically because he's recording the days he's spending. So if you don't spend for 3 days, there'll be no record of you spending. But anytime you spend, anytime you earn income, you want to basically record that, yeah? Okay. All right, super. So just clearing out the questions, answer live. So the linkage is this basically. You take the income and expenses that you have created and you create broad categories. So if you have gas, fuel, Megad's salary, that's all going to be under your household. You create a budget for that category. But how do you know what you have spent? That's because you have already done in 30 days, you've seen your expenditure in household income. So it's okay if I spent 1,000 naira in household income in January, I'm going to do a budget for 900 or for 1,005. That's how you then create a budget. You don't create a budget from thin air. You create the budget from the actual of what you have seen already. So basically you have then seen that you've spent so amount of money on gas. Then you can create a budget and say, okay, I think I'm spending too much on gas or I'm spending too little on gas. Then you adjust. So the income and expenses basically create the categories. Then the categories create your budget. Then you then go into the budget and you then fine tune your budget and say, I want to increase my spending and I want to increase or reduce my spending. Let me answer a question. Could you please send the slides? Yes, at the end of the session, all these slides are going to be available on the video and I'll also send it out. So don't worry about it. If you don't get the slides, I'm going to share all the slides. So don't worry too much about it. Yeah, great. So that's the linkage. Do your expenses, categorize them, create a budget. You then go into that budget and then you can then say, okay, I'm going to increase my expenses here. I'm going to reduce my expenses here, right? That's basically how you get it done. This is an example of a budget, but let me show you my example of the budget. I don't know if you guys can see this clearly. So if you look on the left-hand side, you have the income side, and you can see how I've done the active income and the passive income. So the first item I have there is my income, broken into active income right here, and of course, passive income right there. I've broken that down, right? Let me see if I can get a pen. So you guys can see this is my income, and I'm doing my passive, my active income is right here, which is the middle of my salary and all into my bonus. So this is just income that I am physically doing or I'm physically present or I have to be there to earn income. And then of course I take away all the taxes as regards this income. So this is my net active income. What about my passive income? This is now all the income I make when I'm not there. For instance, dividends. I own shares in Nestle. They are paying me dividends. I own a house. I have annuities. Maybe I have a business. I have a personal business I'm doing outside the office. So I list all this as passive income and I then put them in there. Why do we have to break down the active income and the passive income? The reason is this: retirement is not a number. when we say retirement age, that's not a number. We don't mean 65 or when you get to 70. The time when your passive income here can pay your expenses here, you can retire. Let me say it again. When your passive income, not your active income, when your passive income can pay your expenses, that's when you can retire. What's the point we're making? If you can earn income by not going to work, you're not physically being there. Maybe you have a house, you're earning rent, you have shares, you're earning dividend, and that income here can pay your expenses, especially your non-discretionary expenses, which are expenses that you must make. For instance, food, for instance, housing, for instance, transportation. Once this passive income can pay for this, you're okay. You can retire because that's all you need to do. You don't need active income anymore. So the whole idea of you working is you're trying to convert active income to passive income. So if you go back to our lifestyle chart I showed you, when you start to work, you're earning very, very little salary. So you have no assets. But over time, as you start to earn more, your salary starts to increase. You want to convert that salary from active to passive because it is the passive that's actually going to take you and make you wealthy, not the active. You want to invest in land, in property, in a business, and then earn income from that to then give you enough expenses to pay your non-discretionary expenses. That's when you can retire. So that's what I've done here. Now look at what I've done here. After I did income and expenses, I came here and I put my net income, right? Now look what I did here. I said pay myself first. So just remember this, I'm paying myself first. So here, when I get my income, before I do anything, I'm paying myself first. What is paying myself first? I have my emergency fund. I have extra savings, my retirement. I have mortgage. I'm paying interest. I'm paying investment. So this is like before I even buy food, I'm coming here to pay myself first. Let's look at my expenses. Remember, I always talk about expenses. You want to categorize your expenses. So you've listed all your expenses, then now you categorize them. And there are two main categories. There's the non-discretionary right here, and there's the discretionary expenses right here. The non-discretionary are the things you must do. It doesn't matter if you have money or you don't have money. You must buy food. You must stay in a house. So these are basically the cost of you staying alive. And you list them all here, discretionary income. So this guy has his total non-discretionary income right here. Then over here, he has his discretionary expenses. Here we have food, but food here is dining out. So maybe he wants to go to eat in a restaurant. He can do without that. He can eat at home. So it's discretionary. What about cable subscription, gym membership? Yeah, if he doesn't make enough money, he's not going to go to any gym. He's going to stay at home and carry weight with cement. Yeah. Same thing with clothing and jewelry. You can't buy jewelry if you can't buy food. So you don't do that. What about entertainment? Yeah, you can't go for the movies if you can't buy food. So all these are all discretionary expenses. Now look at this chart. Whenever your income, the total income here, cannot pay for your total non-discretionary expenses. Guys, you want to stop here. You want to pause here. That means there's something wrong with what you're doing. That means either you're not working enough or you have too much expenses. You can't go forward once you get this. So once you do your income and your total income cannot pay your non-discretionary, this is where you stop. Don't go further. Don't waste your time doing investments or doing anything else. You want to stop here and you want to ask yourself some serious questions. What I'm earning too much or I'm spending too much? And it's usually you are earning too little. So let me say it again. When your total income cannot cover your total non-discretionary income, then there's something critically wrong with your plan and you have to go back to stage one. You can't go forward from here. You can't invest if what you earn cannot pay for food, housing, and all that. You basically want to stop there, right? Very, very important. Let me clear a few questions here. Will this video be available after the session? Yes, it will be available after the session. It's on YouTube right now. It's being recorded right now, and I'm going to share it after this. Regarding personal expenses and budget, considering the possibility of inflation, would you advise a reduction in the quantity purchased or an increase in the budget? Good question. That's why you're doing the budget, because things will happen that you did not plan for. So you go back to your budget and you then adjust the budget. So if you had the budget to eat out and then there's inflation, that means other things are getting costly. So you have to cut down on your eating out and then put more money in, say, gas for your car. So you then go to your budget and reduce what you are spending on, say, eating out. If you could look at my budget here, I have budget for the next period. You see it's blank. You see it's blank. So next period budget is blank. Next period is blank, which means that the next period, I'm going to basically say, I want to increase either my salary, or I want to reduce my food, or I want to increase my entertainment. That's basically where you do the adjustment for the next month. So it's driving, what is driving your budget is your income and your expenses. Inflation affects your income because if you are earning 5,000, inflation goes up, you're not earning 5,000 anymore. So when you then earn less, you then come to your budget and you then adjust your budget to take effect of that inflation that has reduced your income. Very, very important and a good question. You adjust the budget based on what happens in your income and expenses. That's basically what you want to do here. So Yusuf, yeah, thanks for the question. Good one. How is mortgage both paying yourself first and an expense? Because mortgage, I want to save money. So if you go to mortgage, I'm paying myself first by saying, I want to save money aside to pay for my mortgage, right? Then the mortgage expense itself is the cost that is going out. So look at it on my budget here. He's paying interest on mortgage. Let's say my mortgage is $1,000 a month. That's what I'm paying here under my expenses. But here I'm saving more. I am saying when I make money, let's say I make more money on passive income, I will take some of the passive income and save here, increase my budget more to save more in my investment account here or my mortgage account here. So it's both here and it's both here. This is the actual cost of the mortgage, which is what you're seeing here, the actual mortgage cost here. But here is my extra savings because remember my income here is active and passive. Yeah. So good question. Emeka, good question. Yeah. And I've done that for you. Let me clear this one. I don't understand why you got some items on expenses as well as PFI list. That's like the mortgage, exactly what I said. Many items are both expenses and incomes at the same time because I am paying myself here on a mortgage. Look at investment, look at pension. The pension is a cost. You see pension here, this is the 10% that my employer takes from me. But when I come here, I also have pension. I'm making an extra payment on my pension. You see it here? So this is paying myself, this is making an investment in myself before I even start to do these expenses here. So these are the actual expenses. This is the extra, the JARA. That's what I'm doing right here. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Could you share this budget tracker at the end of the session? Yes, I will share the budget tracker to you at the end of the session. Can we have the YouTube link? YouTube, I think is my name. Just look for my name on YouTube. You would find it there. All right, so we've cleared out those questions. So I can't talk about this chart enough, but let me just summarize again. The first thing you do is you link your income, you link your expenses, then you create categories, then you create a budget. Then when you have your budget, when things change, you come back to your budget and you update on your budget for the next period. So you always have a plan to take care of what has changed in the economy. If costs go up, you adjust your budget. It's the same Naira you're making in your income. So you must then adjust how you want to spend that same Naira. You're not going to increase your income or reduce your income. You want to adjust it in a planned way, yeah? So guys, we're going to move ahead, yeah? Why does the PowerPoint not move when you want it to move? This I don't know. All right, so I got a question here. It says, so I think we've done this one. To add extra, how are the two? Okay, I think I've answered this question over and over, yeah? To pay yourself first is the extra that you are doing. Extra to what you are doing, to what is expected of you. So if you look at his expenses here, he's paying mortgage here. This is actual mortgage, but here is the extra he's saving. Maybe he made some money, he bought Bitcoin and Bitcoin gave him some money. So he took the money from Bitcoin and put it in his mortgage account here to make an extra principal only payment to his mortgage. Does that make sense? Same thing with his pension here. He's paying pension here, but here he's paying more additional voluntary contribution. So this is just basically where he's paying himself first. He's saying, I'm going to pay myself as a percentage of net income. I want to pay myself 5%, 10%, 2%. And that's basically what he's doing. So he sets it up automatically by saying that whatever I make from my net income, I will pay 5% to investment, I'll pay 2% to mortgage as an extra to what is already paying on that guide. Does that make sense, guys? All right, so let's move on. If I can get the thing to change to the next one. Okay, let me see. Okay, guys, so now we're in cash flow. So again, let me recap. We've done the income and expenses. We've done the categorization. We've done the budgets. Yeah. We've now talked about that things happen during the period, and then those things affect the budget. What are those things that happen? Everything is all about cash flow. Whatever policy that they say, it affects your cash flow. That's basically where you feel it. If the government passes African Continental Free Trade Zone, how it affects you is in your cash flow. What comes to your hand? Is it that your cash goes up or your cash goes down? If the government passes the budget, it affects you in your cash flow. Is that your cash flow goes up or your cash flow comes down? So that's the point we're trying to make here. We're not trying to say, hey, how can we then adjust? And we cannot have that adjustment without knowing how cash flow works. So guys, look at this cash flow. This is a personal cash flow statement. All your cash flow is either going to be operating passive, and operating passive is, like we said, is the passive income, your money from Bitcoin, your money from your rent, your money from your shares, things that you are making income with by not being there, yeah? Okay. Operating active income, that is basically the active income that you're making from your job. And of course, the financing. What is financing? Financing is basically going to be your, if you borrow money from a bank and all that, that's going to what we call financing. If you borrow money from a bank, that's basically what's financing. So all the cash that you basically make, all the cash is going to break down into your operating, your active, and of course your financing. So you're either getting money from a bank or from your friend or whatever, or you're getting money from your job, or you're getting money from your investments. There's no other place you can get money from apart from these three guys, yeah? Okay, what about money going out? Money can go out through three ways, same thing. Money can go out through operating. So operating here is going to be basically what you do day to day. You are buying food, you're buying gas, all that kind of, that's operating. What about investing? Investing is, okay, you're investing, you are buying shares. You want to invest for the future. You are paying a mortgage, you are buying shares, you are doing this, or you are doing that, yeah? Okay, what about financing? Financing is when you are paying down your debt. When you're paying down your debt, more or less, yeah? So if you do your operating, that's your passive, your active, and then when you borrow money, because that's the third way you can get money. Any way you borrow money, whether it's interest-free or non-interest-free, that's your passive, that's your financing. The money will go out in these three ways. So this is just how it flows. No questions here, just to say, hey, this is it. You get money this way, money goes out this way. Okay, let's talk about this, yeah? This is what most people do. They get money, the money comes here as income, they pay their expenses, then they invest. This is basically what most people do. And this is basically where the problem is. Yeah, because you are getting money and then you are basically spending money. You are investing last. If you keep doing this, you would never invest, because the excuse is always, I don't make enough money to invest. Once you say that, you're never going to invest. I know it's tough to invest because incomes are hard. You might not make enough to save, but I assure you, if you can buy a recharge card for your phone, you can invest. And don't let anyone tell you that, oh, why should I invest? I don't make enough. Why am I saving it? You have to have that habit of putting something together aside, even if it's going to be for just the minimum. Just put something aside. Just put something aside. Just try it. Yeah, put something aside. So this is the one I don't like. You make an income, you spend, and then whatever you spend, it goes into your investment. This is the problem, because you are spending first without investing first. Yeah, you are spending first without investing first. All right. Let's look at the next chart and see if we can get any lessons from here. A good cash flow, a good cash flow is going to be money is coming in through operating. right? So operating could be either your passive or your active, but money is coming through operating. Notice there's no financing here. I don't mind you borrowing, but this guy has no financing. He's not borrowing. So the money is basically just operating. So whatever he's doing, he's getting money just operationally, yeah? And where's the money going out to? The money is going out to invest, and the money is going out to finance. So this is also a very just this is a good cash flow. The money is coming in, the money is going out to invest, the money is going out to pay loans because he has taken a loan because he doesn't earn. He's still a young guy, so he doesn't really earn a lot. So he's trying to convert his cash to assets. This is a very good cash flow. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at this guy now. This is how I want you guys to invest. This is the usual that I'm talking about. You invest as a salary, you spend, then you save. But this is how we should do it. Our income should come here. We pay ourselves first, then we pay the non-discretionary. And only then do we then pay the discretionary. Again, you earn income, then you invest, then you pay the non-discretionary, then you pay the discretionary. You don't go for holiday before you pay loan, right? You invest in your retirement plan before you buy a new car. This is basically what we want to do. This is where we adjust all those policies of the government. This is where we have to adjust it. If the government raises cost of fuel, that means our cash flow is going to go down. So where do we cut? We cut the discretionary. We cut the discretionary. We don't cut the investment. We go to our discretionary. We say, okay, we're going to stop watching DSTV. We can't stop paying our loan. We can reduce amount to spend on petrol, yes, but we have to still pay rent. So we cut discretionary completely out of the way. We might reduce this a bit, but we don't want to touch investment because why? Because investing works with compounding. If you don't compound, you are losing that period forever. Remember the first question we asked you was, how old are you? And how old do you want to be when you retire? And we said that gives us your total compounding period. You are not going to increase that period of time. You have that number of years to earn. And we said retirement is when your passive income can meet your discretionary or your non-discretionary income. So every time you invest, you are creating a passive stream of income for yourself that tomorrow is going to pay your non-discretionary and allows you to retire. So if you don't invest, you're basically on that rat race. You are going from hand to mouth, literally. If you don't invest, you are not going to get out of that race. It is investing, which is delayed consumption, that takes you out of the rat race. If you don't invest, you are going to keep on doing the income to expenses and investing. You will not get out of it. Very important that you guys get that part, yeah? Let me clear this question. I can't find any specific category for savings. Where should that be indicated? Is it in the pay yourself option? Yes. The pay yourself option is the savings. So under pay yourself option, you have emergency fund, you have investments, you have all those pension because you are saving for something. You can save in your emergency fund, or you can save in your pension fund, or you can save by paying down your mortgage. That's basically what we're talking about. So good question, Barry. You want to basically save by doing that pay yourself first. That's what we're doing. So this is the cash flow, and this is basically the usual and the preferred. This is where I want you guys to basically be on. So I hope it's a bit clearer now, yeah? Okay, so let's go to the next chart. Okay, let me clear another question here. Yeah, thanks for the questions, guys. And yeah, and we've reached 100 capacity on the Zoom. I can't increase it right now because if I pay right now, it might not still be out before we get out of this. So I am sorry, but we have it on YouTube. It's streaming live, and I'm going to make sure I share this. So you're not going to lose out anything. Just maybe the live questions, but you're also going to get the questions. Sorry about that. Yeah, Emeka, you can ask a question. I can see your hand. Go ahead. Okay. So guys, we're now at the cash flow budget. And what I've done here is I've taken I've created my own way of doing a budget. So I'm linking Remember, let's go back to the beginning. We talked about the income and expenditures, then we categorize them, then we create a budget. Yeah. Then we've done our cash flow. Now I'm doing what's called a cash flow budget. This is not a, like usual budget. This is my own cash flow budget, how I want you guys to approach budgeting and cash flow. What I've done here is easy. I've put my income and my expenses right there. I've done my active income, like I said, which is the income I make while you're actively there. I put my passive income, yeah. I put my non-discretionary expenses, I put my discretionary expenses. Why I'm doing this is this. I want to show you that whatever you get as a total income, it must pay your non-discretionary income, the NDE. I'm going back to this because it's very, very important that you don't really, I'm not trying to be rude. Don't waste your time working if your total income is not paying your NDE. You're wasting time. Because if what you are earning cannot pay your non-discretionary income, you need a new job, you need a new hustle, you need to do something else. Because this is basically the whole idea. If you can't pay rent, then what are you doing? You have to go do something else. That's the whole idea. There's no point investing or trying to squeeze money out of a rock and all that. You just have to stop and say, okay, I have to go back and see how I can make more money. It's all about income. Income drives expenses. But the problem is this: your expenses are fixed and your income is fluctuating. Even though you earn a salary, the money you make on the passive side is not fixed, but your expenses are all fixed. Your rent is fixed, gas is fixed, food is fixed, and you have to pay those things. So this is why this is important. You have to compare cash flow to budget. If you have a budget, your cash flow must pay your NDE, the non-discretionary expenses. It must do it. If it doesn't do it, you have to go back to the beginning and say, okay, I'm doing something wrong with my income. Yeah. My question is on, I'm reading a question now. My question is on investment. I understand a bit of banking and I know, I don't see the question here. Okay. So someone's asking about Ajo. Please, can the idea of monthly contribution in Ajo be paying yourself first monthly? Ajo is funny. Ajo is very, very good, only if you take it first. So because you guys follow me, I'm going to give you this secret. If you are doing Ajo in the office, do it, but insist on taking the money first. If you take Ajo last, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. If you're going to do this contribution, all of you contribute 1,000 and then you guys share it, it's a good idea, but always insist on taking the money first. Because when you take the money first, you have a longer compounding period. If you take the money last, your cash has been invested in a non-interest bearing activity for all that period. So you getting the money last, it cannot be the same as the person getting first. So whenever you want to do a job, because you guys follow me, you're getting this idea from me, please make sure you take your contribution first. Yeah. So Olakunle, thanks for the question. Please, where does the emergency fund fall in all these categories? Emergency fund is going to come in your income. It is when you pay yourself first. So when you get the income, your total income, you then take from that and you pay yourself first. If you look at my example that I gave, the guy was basically paying himself by a percentage basis. So he was saying, once I make money, I basically take money aside and I pay myself. So that's where your emergency fund comes in. When you earn money, then you basically pay yourself from what you have earned, right? So yeah, I've answered that. Is there a place to read more of investment in other sectors? Yes, there is, but okay, I'll talk about that one later on. Okay, so let's continue. Guys, great questions, yeah? So now we're at net worth, where this is almost the end of the session, like I said. Net worth is now when we're now converting the raw physical cash to assets. Remember that when the guy earned income, he was paying himself first by buying assets. So we saw mortgage, we saw investments, we saw all those pension contributions. All those things are now assets because you can't retire with cash. Inflation will kill cash. You retire with assets. It is the passive income that pays the non-discretionary income. Passive income is not cash. Passive income is the cash earned from investments. Let me say it again. Passive income is not cash. Passive income is the cash earned from investing, right? So we have now linked the cash that you are earning to assets. And of course, when we want to draw up our asset base, we want to ask ourselves certain questions. What is an asset? There is no need to long grammar. An asset gives you money. A liability takes money away from you. Forget the accounting definition, forget that one. That's accounting. For personal finance, if you have a car, is a car an asset or a liability? It depends. If the car is making you earn money, but you drive the car to work, you earn your salary, then that car is an asset. But if that car is taking you to work, but you're spending more money on that car in the mechanic workshop, then the car is a liability. Easy. There is no if anything gives you money, it's an asset. If anything takes money away from you, it's a liability. So that's what we've called. So now we have our assets. We have two types of assets. We have the income generating assets. Then we have the non-income generating assets. Same thing with liabilities. We have the income generating liabilities and the non-income generating liabilities. So we want to link both of them. Assets that earn us income should be linked to liabilities that take income away from us. And assets that do not earn us income should be linked to liabilities that do not take money away from us. What am I saying? If you borrow money to buy a car, make sure that car is an asset, that you're using that car to make money. Don't borrow money and buy a brand new phone if that phone is not going to make you make money, because you're paying an income generating asset with a non-income or with a liability that is interest generating. Does that make sense to you? You want to link assets that give you income to liabilities that pay you income. You want to link them. That's the whole idea of net worth. It's not just calculating what you make, but linking those assets to those liabilities. So this is what we said, asset and liability. We said asset gives you money, liability takes your money from you, and all that. So the assets like the fridge, A1 shares, the fridge doesn't give this guy money. So this fridge doesn't give the guy money, but it's a fridge. The shares give him money. Okay. Then he has his rent that takes money from him. He has a credit card that takes money from him. So you want to try and make sure that your total assets are able to pay for your total liabilities. If that can happen, then you are said to be in a positive net worth position. So it is possible for someone to earn money, i.e., to make a lot of cash income and be in a negative net worth position. Why? Because he has a lot of liabilities, not expenses, liabilities. It's also possible for someone to earn little money, i.e., salary, little income, but be a positive net worth. Why? Because he has a lot of assets, not income, assets. So if a driver in a bank buys 10 plots of land in Moe, he will have more assets than the manager that works in the bank that earns $1 million and goes to Paris every weekend. Does that make sense to you guys? The ultimate aim is assets and liabilities, not income and expenses. If you cannot convert your income to expenses, you will not be richer than someone that has assets. What is retirement? Remember what we said retirement is? Retirement is when your passive income can pay your non-discretionary expenses. And what is passive income? Passive income is not cash. Passive income is the cash from assets. Does that make sense, guys? I'm trying to emphasize my point. So let me just clear these questions that I have here again. Okay, we'll talk about banking next. Let's talk. What about insurance? Monthly deduction. Yeah, I have insurance there as part of my monthly deduction. It's right there. Insurance, pension is right there, Getty. So pay your insurance. Let me talk about insurance. If you are a single young man, no, you don't need insurance because you have no dependents. But once you are married or you have children, you need insurance. What is life insurance? Life insurance is a misnomer. There's nothing like life insurance. You don't insure your life. If you lose your life, the insurance company will not give it back to you. What you are insuring is the income that happens if the person loses his life. So once you get married, two of you should get life insurance on each other. So if one person goes away, the income that is lost can be covered by the life insurance policy. That's what you're doing with life insurance policy, is to cover the lost income, not the lost life, the lost income that would have educated the kids and all that. So insurance is very, very important. And like I said, before you even invest, you do your emergency fund and your insurance before you start buying Bitcoin. Very, very important. So Getty, yeah, good question. Please, I missed your statement on Ajo. Ajo is the when if you don't know what Ajo is you're in the office or you have a group of friends, you guys all contribute together, and then you guys then take the bulk sum. So you contribute, then someone takes the bulk sum. I'm saying Ajo is very, very good only if you are taking first. So if you're going to be the first one to take, do it. If you're going to be second, maybe, but if you're going to be last, don't do it. It's a waste of money. Because when you give your money to Ajo, it's like you put your money in the bank, then the bank didn't pay you interest, then at the end of 5 months, the bank gave you back all your money back. Doesn't make any sense. So you must take Ajo first, maybe second. If it's more than that, don't do it. So Yusuf, is that clear? Don't do Ajo if you're going to take last. Take first. And if you take first, you can invest and get the compounding period, yeah? Is it so William says, is it advisable to invest in Naira operating investment? In a company? If you earn in pounds, don't live in Nigeria. Yeah, why not? You are saying basically, should you invest exchange risk? So the answer is this: what is the level of exchange risk? Is the inflation rate higher than the exchange rates risk? That's basically what you're asking. If you want to take pounds and change to Naira and buy shares and change back to pounds and take out, would you make money? I did it this year. I made money. I took dollars, bought Nigerian stocks, made money, sold Nigerian stocks, bought dollars and took that, and I still made money. So it depends on what you buy. There's no straight answer. It's what you really buy when you convert your money. If you buy a bad stock, you're going to lose money, irrespective of whether it's pounds or dollars. Yeah. So it's a case by case answer. That's what I'll say, Williams. Yeah. Yes, we're getting the slides after this. Don't worry too much. Yeah. Reliable assets. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. I'm single, but I have life insurance. Instead of if you're single and you're paying life insurance, so who is going to take life insurance when if anything happens to you? I think that money can be taken and put somewhere else. That money should be your emergency fund, or you should start to save money for your investing. Because if you are single, and then who are you doing the life insurance for? Is it for your parents, in quotes? I mean, whose income? Who would lose the income if you go away? So I would say you are saving, but I would suggest that you take that life insurance money and maybe turn an emergency fund or do something else with it. When you are married, then you now have a dependent that's going to suffer if you then lose your life. So yeah, I would say do something else with that, Israel. Yeah. Okay. Emails out. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. You still should not save the person. Should save in the currency we earn. Yes, I mean, if you're going to save money, you save in the currency you earn. If you want to buy dollars, fine. Then remember, if you take Naira and you buy dollars and you invest, there's two risks there. One is the investment risk, two is the exchange risk. If you save in the currency you earn, there's only one risk. That's just the investment risk. So it's basically, do you want two risks or one risk? And again, it's a case by case analysis. You can't say once you change money to Naira, you make profit. No. If you buy bad, you're going to make bad. Garbage in, garbage out. So I would say really, there's no real answer for that. If you have a good investment in Naira, guys have bought MTN or Dangote cement in Naira and making money. Yeah. So it's a case by case. That's what I'll say. I'll talk about dollar. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. Let's talk about all that investment later. Let's just conclude this, and I can take tons of questions from you guys. Yeah. Okay. So if you guys have questions on what we just talked about, the budgets and all that, ask it now. The investment questions, when we're done, I won't go. I'll stay here with you guys for at least an hour and I'll answer tons of questions. But let's have the good questions for the life planning stage, for the budgets, cash flows. I'll stay for almost an hour and I'm going to answer all your questions. Yeah. So let's just see if we can stick to that. Yeah. Good job. Okay, so I got more questions. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, please explain the concept of net worth. I missed it. How do you add value to net worth? The point I'm making is this: is what makes you rich is not income. What makes you rich is assets, i.e., when your assets are more than your liabilities, then you are rich, i.e., you have a positive net worth. You are not rich when you earn more than you spend. You have to earn and invest to get an asset to make yourself rich. So the example I gave was a driver that works in a bank. If that driver earns 10,000 naira a month, but is able to buy land in Lagos, in a swamp in Lagos 10 years ago, and you are the manager and you basically take your money and you go to Paris every Valentine's Day, that driver's assets over time will appreciate in value, and your expenses will over swallow the income that you're making. That at the end of, say, 20 years, the driver's land assets have grown in value, and your investment and your cash flow that you refuse to invest have been lost. You can't go back and invest in the past. So the driver will then have a positive net worth position, whilst you might not have a positive net worth position, even though your income is greater than the driver. So it's not the income that makes you rich. It is the income invested to create an asset that generates growth or value or yield that makes you wealthy. So does that make sense to you? So net worth is basically how you basically then get rich. It's not the income, but it's what you do with your income that basically makes you rich. Yeah. So I hope that's clear. Guys, let me move on. Don't worry, I'm going to stay here. You guys have a lot of questions, yeah? So I'll stay here with you guys, yeah, no worries. Okay, let's talk about net worth. How do we calculate net worth? Again, it's just a calculation here, your assets and your liabilities. So that's the point I'm making. Your net worth is your assets that are earning for you. Meanwhile, your liabilities are going to be your cost and then, of course, your borrowings. So there is nothing wrong in you borrowing money. Remember our cash flow chart. If you are borrowing money to buy an asset, there's nothing wrong with that. If you are borrowing money to buy land, to build a house, to invest in shares at a lower cost, nothing wrong with that, because like we said, on our cash flow forecast, remember when we said the guy was borrowing money on finances and the money is going out in finances, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is if the cost of that borrowing is more than the returns on the asset, that's when you might have a problem. And of course, if the asset you are buying, if you borrow money at commercial rates and you build a house in your village in Ohafia, how much will the house earn you? It's not going to earn you anything. There's no rental coming from that house. It's a good house, it's a great house, it's a good status house, but it doesn't earn you any income. So I would say maybe that when you borrow money, you first of all build in where you live or where you can rent out. Then the second house you want to build is going to be in your village. So that way you can say, okay, the rental from my house might pay for the rental in my village, because the rental in your village is not going to be an asset that is earning you money. Remember what we said, an asset, we're not doing the accounting definition. An asset is what gives you money, period. So if you have a house in the village and the house in the village is 20 rooms, is made of marble, and that house is costing you money to maintain, that house is a liability. It's not an asset. This is not accounting. This is personal finance. If it's taking cash from your pocket, it's a liability. Yeah? Okay, folks. Next slide. Yeah, I see your questions, guys. I will address all those questions. Have no fear. And this is just my idea of a net worth, how I'm the same thing. I'm the way I track my own net worth, opening period net worth, adjusted net worth, actual, and all that. So you can do yours, and I can share this with you guys as well. You just have an Excel sheet, have what was your house worth in 2019, what's it worth today, what's your car worth, what's it worth today, what's your shares worth, what's the what you have to know what your assets are worth, and you have to have a record of all these shares, scan them, save them online, so if anything happens, if they are burnt, you have a copy of them online, just so you have proper records of what you owe and of what you are owing. Tell your wife what you owe, what you're owing, have a lawyer, have records there, have things already made up so that you're not caught, there's no surprises if anything happens to you. Yeah, that's what I would advise. Okay, so I'm going to just summarize what we've done. This is the example I gave at the very beginning. We're almost at the end. I see tons of questions here. Almost at the end, yeah. So what I'm saying again is, if you this guy is 25 years old on my slide. His name is Ade. He's 25 years old. He earns 500,000. He wants to own a home in 10 years. The home is going to cost him 15 years. So how does he do this? He's going to take his expense schedule. He's going to track how much he spends. He's going to track how much he spends and how much he makes. He's going to get his categories. When he gets his categories, he creates a budget. It's from his budget he can then know how much he can actually bring out of that income and expenses to save to buy this house that's worth 15 million in 10 years. That's basically what he's going to do. So he will create his expenses and income. He'll categorize. He does a budget. He does his cash flow. He then adjusts his budget. He then gets his net worth every year. He's paying himself first. That's basically all we've talked about. Actual. This is basically something you can do without a computer. You can do it on a piece of paper. You don't need maths to do this. It's just, you know what you want to do. Do it yourself. Have your own computer. Do it for yourself. Do it as a family. Do it with your wife. Get together. Get this done. Because when you put things down on paper, you'll be surprised. We did this exercise last year. A guy wrote me and showed me how much he was spending on suya. Unbelievable. He had no idea. Every day he stops when he's on his way back home, he buys suya, and he doesn't cross his mind how much he has spent. When he calculated how much he has spent on suya in a month, that was enough to buy him a little land in Ikorodu. But you don't know, because it's just money you're spending, and day by day you shut down your register and you start a new register. So when you write things down and you look at them, it becomes much, much clearer, basically, on what you've been doing wrong and what you've been doing right. Yeah. All right, guys. So I want to basically, this is all we've talked about. Yeah. Let me see if I can expenses track it and all that. So I want to get to the last slide so I can leave you guys. Yeah. Guys, this is the end of the session. Like I said, yeah, I'm going to do a lot of this on Twitter. We're going to do a lot of hand holding on Twitter for this 1 month of January. We're going to try to see if we can get people to do an expense schedule for January. We're going to start with the expenses first. So for this January, we're going to get your expense book every day, record your expenses. Then February, we can then do the budgets and the categories. So why I'm doing this is just to understand the entire mapping of what we're going to do. So January 1st is to us all go back and create expense and income schedules, and I'm going to share all this. So there's going to be a poll and a survey on the Zoom class. If you log out, please take the poll, please take the survey. I've got a podcast. It's right there the way I see it. Go to the podcast. Also follow on Twitter. This video, yeah, is actually a recording that I did for a learning series. So this entire video you watched, yeah, it's actually recorded with voice, talking about the slides in detail, slide by slide, and it's on that website that is called that resource center, right? They just click on that video there, and you can watch the entire PowerPoint with audio and all that. So it goes into the slides, slide by slide. My voice is there, and of course you can follow it and you can ask questions if you have any questions to ask. So let me now go back to all the questions, and there are a ton of questions. Yeah. Any idea of how someone in Nigeria can invest in dollar-denominated mutual funds? Yes, I think Afri Invest has a dollar mutual fund, and I think IBTC has a dollar-denominated mutual fund. So Obidiego, yeah. So I think Afri Invest and IBTC, I think they have dollar-denominated mutual funds. So go speak to them, tell them I sent you, and all that. Can I buy and invest in silver or bullion vault? Yes, there are ETFs that allow you to invest in gold, silver, in any commodity. So just go online, Google gold ETF, and you can buy it. So get it. Yeah, that's your answer for you. What ratio would you advise in splitting investment between Nigeria and USD? Those sort of questions I cannot answer because I don't know you. Everybody is different. So if I know you, where you live, what you want to accomplish, I can tell you how to split your investment. Remember, what we have done today is not a financial plan. All we are doing today is just telling you how we are going to basically do a financial health check. you should also have a financial plan where you say, this is what I want to achieve. These are my risk objectives. This is my personal proclivities. So I can't answer this question set because I don't know who you are. So I can analyze how you can split between Naira and dollars. Yeah. What about unexpected income? Pay down debt with it. Unexpected income is your passive income. That's money, like in quote, you didn't expect. It's a good idea to pay down debt because when you pay debt, that's 100% gain. So if you owe 10 Naira and you pay off 10 Naira, you have made 100% gain guaranteed. Yeah. So it's a good idea to pay down your debt. I agree. But sometimes if the debt is low cost and you have a good investment, you can invest to make more money, then invest. So it's going to be a cost benefit analysis. If you borrow the money from, say, your parents and they're charging you 2%, and you can buy land and land can make 5%. Why pay your parents off today? Buy the land and then tell them, Dad, I'll pay you off in 5 years. But if the debt is higher than the cost of investment, then of course, go ahead and pay your debts. Yeah. So Peter, thank you for that one. Should I pay myself first before investing? Pay yourself first is investing, Sadiq. So when you pay yourself first, you are investing. So that pay yourself first. Let me see if I can go back to it because I'm going to try to go back to that pay yourself first. Yeah. Let me end the show and I'm going to go back to the slide where we had the budget so I can talk to you guys about it. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So Sadiq, let me answer your question. Yeah. If you look at this guy, let me get my pointer. This guy is making active income here. He's making passive income here. Yeah. He gets net income here. When he gets his net income, look at the smart thing this guy did. He did a percentage of net income. So he said, whatever money I make here, I'm going to take this percentage first before I do anything else. So he's saying, I'm going to pay emergency fund 5%, extra, you see, extra savings, retirement savings, 10%, college fund, 2%, mortgage, 3%, interest, 6%, transfer to investment, 4%. So he's saying, before I spend money on expenses and discretionary expenses, I'm going to pay myself first. And for him, paying himself first are these categories. Pay yourself first could be simply maybe emergency fund. You don't have to have all this. But paying yourself first is you investing. That's the whole idea of you paying yourself first. You want to invest in yourself to generate an asset for the future. So that asset in the future can give you a passive income. Does that make sense, Sadiq? Okay, great. Dear Kalu, with the very Bitcoin, can I claim an income on my budget before actually selling my Nika? No, if you have, good question. I see where you're going to. If you have a share or you have, say, Bitcoin and Bitcoin is going up in price, Bitcoin is not going to come into your income statement. Bitcoin is going to go into your balance sheet. So it doesn't come here. Your car, your Bitcoin, your house, it doesn't come here. What is going to come here is going to be if you sell the Bitcoin, then the income you make from that sale of Bitcoin will come here under passive income. But the Bitcoin holdings is not going to come here. We're not in the balance sheet here. Does that make sense, Anthony? So when you have Bitcoin, the asset itself is not going to come here. But if you sell it, that's going to come under passive income. Then you can then know what to do with it. Yeah. Does that make sense? So Bitcoin itself won't come here, but the income from the Bitcoin, if you sell it, will come here. Yeah. Okay. I would like to have a personal finance. Okay. Yeah, sure. Talk to me later. Yeah. Just email me or send me a DM if you want to do personal finance. Sure. Add an emergency emergency fund, Sadiq, emergency fund is the investing. See, pay yourself first, invest in emergency fund. Emergency fund, you're correct. Before, let me make this point again. Sadiq, thanks for bringing this up. Before you invest a Kobo, before you go and buy Bitcoin or you go and buy shares, the first thing you must do is to set up an emergency fund. Why? Because you want to make sure that you can at least pay rent should anything happen to your income. So let's say something happens, COVID happens and you lose your job. It's not your fault, but your company went underground because of COVID. You want to at least have money to pay rent for at least 3 months whilst you're looking for a new job. So emergency fund should come first, then insurance before you even start investing. That's why he has, you pay your emergency fund first, create an emergency fund first, and that fund is going to be 3 times your non-discretionary income here. So emergency fund is 3 times whatever you have as your total non-discretionary. So what am I saying? If your rent and all those important costs cost you 10,000 naira a month, you want to save at least, or have a target to have at least 30,000 as emergency fund. Let me say it again. If your expenses, the non-discretionary expenses, cost you 10,000 a month, then your minimum target should be at least 30,000. You want to save at least 3 months of your non-discretionary income as the emergency fund. So emergency funds will come first, yeah? Guys, we're done with the financial health check. I'm just taking questions now. So thanks for coming in. I'm just going to take questions now. Yeah, very bad. Downloads, questions are going to be available and all that, yeah? Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, so Sadiq, yes, you're good. Yeah, thank you. How do I increase my assets? That's consultancy, sir. If to increase your assets is really going to be, you want to buy your assets with cash. So to increase your assets, you are actually asking me, how can I increase my income? Or how can I borrow to buy assets? That's basically what you're asking me. So Dowell, your question is, you're basically asking me, how can I increase my income? That's on that lecture on its own, but you have to increase your income to buy assets. If you don't buy assets, you're not going to get rich. Income does not make you rich. Income from assets make you rich. Sir, is it advisable to borrow money to open something like a bar lounge? I don't know. I don't know. If you're good at running bar lounges, that's a business. I know lots of people that have a bar and they make a lot of money. I know people that have a bar and they lost lots of money. So it's going to be basically down to your own individual business acumen. If you borrow and you make money, excellent, that's going to be passive income for you or active. But I don't know the answer to that question, yeah? What kind of trust? What about trust and estate planning? Yeah, we'll talk about that. That is an animal on its own, Jesse. Trust and estate planning is an animal on its own. I'll talk about it later on, yeah? I want to buy the index, but I have less than 50,000. But there are several index advised in Telegram group. I got on Trove and what I have so small. You can buy the index with less than 50,000. Yeah, you can buy it with less than 50,000. That's why it's an index. It's the cheapest way for you to buy all the stocks in the market. If you try to buy one share of Microsoft, it's almost $300. But with the index, you can buy Microsoft, Tesla, IBM, everything in the entire US stock market for less than 50. So yeah, so you can buy with 50,000 naira. Yeah, if you can't buy, let me know. But that's the whole idea of index investing. It's low cost and it's diversification that allows you to buy those assets at that cheap price. Yeah. How do I increase my asset? I think we've talked about that. That's on that topic on its own. Investing in stocks on that topic on its own. Will it be advisable to leave? Yes, your emergency fund, Israel, good question. Your emergency fund is going to be cash. Your emergency fund is not going to be shares or Bitcoin or anything exotic. It's going to be raw cash. Ignore inflation. Don't say, oh, I'm losing money in inflation. No, you want to keep your emergency fund in cash or near cash because it's something you're going to take by very quickly. You don't have time to go and sell this share to buy that share to get money. So your emergency fund is going to be raw cash. Keep it in the bank. Yes, if you want to keep it under your pillow, sure, but keep it in the bank. At least make some little interest on it. Yeah. For monthly savings, which savings can one invest? I will only say if you're only going to save money, I will say only for emergency funds. Right now, if you put money in the bank, inflation is higher than the rate of return in the bank. So you just keep that in mind that if you're saving money in the bank, the inflation rate is higher than what you're going to get in the bank. So it's going to be a negative real rate of return. So if you are saving, which is more short term, it's just going to be like for a short time, you're keeping that money. But you should think more of investing, i.e., you are looking at more options to meet your own objectives. Yeah. But just keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Shaya. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. So yeah, like I said, we're done with the lecture. If you want to ask any other question now, sure, I can take it. Yeah, but for all the guys that came in for the FinPlan health check, we're done with that. So you guys have questions. Yeah, so guys, thanks very much. You guys can log out now if you want to. If you want to stay and ask questions, that's fine. But we're done with the main one. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm outside Nigeria. I do some small scale business in Nigeria. Do you think it makes sense to invest little to have a naira? Well, the Nigerian stock market was the best performing stock market in the world in 2020, and emerging markets always tend to outperform established markets like the US. So I would say if you live outside America and if you live outside Nigeria, you should diversify. You could invest in the US, also invest in Nigeria. You can buy shares in Nigeria, and you can buy shares in Nigeria from the US. You can buy an index fund that invest in Nigeria. I think that's called the MSIX Global Index. They invest in Nigerian shares. I would say yes, do that. Diversification is good. So don't buy maybe one particular share, buy the Nigerian stock index. It diversifies you. So it can only be a good thing. So that's how I'll answer that. Yeah. Is investing in dollars profitable? You can't invest in dollars. Dollars is the currency. So you can't invest in a currency. You can only hold the currency. You can trade with the currency, but you can't invest in the currency. How would you do it? So maybe you want to ask the question again, but you can't invest in a currency. You can trade in the currency, you can pair the currency, but how do you invest in a currency? So maybe recast the question and I can try to give you an answer, yeah? Please, how do I know the index to buy? Because there are so many of them, especially when I'm starting small. For me, if you go on Twitter, I think if you go to my Twitter feed, FinPlan Carlo Aja1, I gave you guys how to invest in indexes. That's December the 24th. I think I posted that trend December the 24th. If you want to buy shares, you don't know what to buy, just buy the index called VT. VT. VT is basically VT or VTI. That's the Vanguard index that captures all the shares in America. So VT is all the shares in America. VTI UX is all the shares in the world without America. So once you buy those two index, you're basically buying all the shares in the world. You're buying all the shares in America and all the shares in the world apart from America. So VT, VTI, VTUX. Just go on to my Twitter feed, December 24th. I gave a very, very good explanation on what to buy. But it's just called VT. Other companies have their own index funds, which is just Vanguard. It's just called VT, Vanguard. So, but you can go just buy the index. That's it. Easy, yeah? All right. Yeah, you're welcome, bro. Thanks for dropping in. So sorry, yes, there's going to be a recording. There's going to be a link. Everything is recording here. So yes, there's going to be a recording. I'm going to share it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to stop recording. Let me see. So guys, I think we're good. You're going to get the slides. Don't worry. You're going to get the slides and the recordings. How can someone invest in Nigerian stocks? Many ways. If you want to buy Nigerian stocks, you can buy the index, you can buy the individual stocks, you can use a broker, a human broker, you can download an app and buy it. There's Trove, there's Bamboo, there's Rise, there's lots of them. So just get those apps and invest. So talk about it. There are many ways you can invest in Nigerian stocks, many ways. Let's talk about investing in stocks later because that's a big, big, big topic on its own. So if I start, I won't be able to finish today. So Israel, you are saying he's talking about the platform that enables investment using foreign currencies. Yes, if you can buy Euro bonds are good investment because you are diversifying your holdings away from dollar. So if you earn Naira and you want to buy Euro bond, that's a good idea because you are diversifying. It's a very, very good idea. So if you have a place where you can invest in dollars just to diversify your income, it's a good idea. Just make sure that the interest rate is okay. There's no point buying dollars and at the same lower rate. So just keep that in mind. But it's a good idea to always diversify. That's what I'll say. Yeah. Does Trove offer this VTI? Yes, there's VTI on Trove. There's VT on Trove. There's VTUX on Trove. Yes, they offer it. Search for it. What investment options would you advise a middle income to invest in? I don't know, Joseph. I have to know you before I can advise what kind of investments you can invest in. If I know your age and your objectives, then I can tell you what I recommend for you. But if I don't know your investment, if I don't know your age and your objectives, I don't know what to recommend for you. Skeptical about Nigerian stocks, that's fine. Buy global stocks. We're in a global economy, 21st century. You can buy Tesla from Nigeria. You can buy anything from Nigeria. So explore your options, yeah? You're welcome. You're welcome. Talk about assets giving passive income. Passive income, if you buy shares and you get dividends, that's passive income. The dividends are passive income. So anything that you get, you're not working there. Let's say somebody opens up a bar and you're a part owner of that bar, but you don't work in the bar and they give you your share of the profits every day or every month. That's passive income. Dividends are passive income. If your RSA pays you money, that's passive income. Any income you get when you are basically not working there, that's passive income. Yeah. You guys are welcome, yeah. After monthly investment in VT or VTI, do I need to do something else to make more funds on index? I mean, remember what I said, it's not income that makes you rich. It's the income from assets. So if you're buying VT and VTI, you're basically buying this because you're saying tomorrow, these are going to give me income. So I would say if you're already buying them, buy more, be consistent. Just keep buying according to your income and stay in the market, stay invested. That's what I'll say, yeah? Yeah, thanks, bro. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for all your questions. I think that's the last question. We're going to log off now. Thank you so much. Yes, Deborah, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you guys. Thanks. 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 All right, guys. So yeah, we'll do more of this. Make sure you take the poll. Take the poll, answer the survey so I can know if you do it again and all that. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to stop now.